and then see if you can go the next step. So just to make things super clear, we said that there's two different stages. There is Pekida, there's Zechira, and Pekida is focusing on the Binyan Haguf, right? And we spoke about that. That's a special. The fact that we start with the Guf has a lot of reasons why to do with that, and also the fact that it brings, as the Ramchal speaks out, it dafka brings miud haTorah. It doesn't bring. The Ramchal said, yes, we spoke about it on Thursday. That dafka through Pekida and the focus on physicality and the focus on the binyan haguf means the focus of the Am. It allows, first of all, the focus of the Am is totally on the physical part, and secondly, because of the stalkus of the hisorus that came from Shamayim that goes away, it also leads to a level of kfira, and that does, one aspect of it allows for us to come back on our own and mecharash our own ratzon. It also allows for the tzad hara to think that it's winning, and it gives that Hashem is able to play with it, and instead of, it doesn't fight so much with the whole process of geula because it thinks it's winning, and then Hashem throws it in the yam like Paro. We spoke about that, but I think that the next thing we need to really focus on is how does Pekida shift to Zechira, right? And since Zechira, as we know about, is Lev Chadash, right? There's a Ruach Chadash, which has to do with the Chadash Bekirbi of the Ruach of the Shechina that comes in. I think it's important if we can try to understand, because that's really the shift that's happening in Am Yisrael now. All of the Nevuos were niskayim on the Chelik Hagufani, and I'm not saying there isn't more to build on that level, but the Koyach HaMa'ached that gives us Achdus Amitis of having one goal, one idealism that goals we're now shifting towards. And I think that it's important to understand how one feeds into the other.
Wait, so I'm sorry. Pekida is still where Hashem is recognized by the well, right? Pekida is not just physical.
No, actually, in the way Pekida works,
I just want to make sure I understand what we're switching from.
No, the way Pekida works actually is a kibbutz golius. It's clear in the Psukim in Yechezkel that it starts with Hisorus Lamala of Ruach. You can read the Psukim inside if you'd like. Let's find them here. It starts off. I can get it if I get a Navi, it's probably faster.
Which one? I love using that. So they'll prevent. They don't have this stuff. And the tabs, I love that. And the paper is done so well. I had a cousin that did research. He wanted to print something. He did research on how the paper. Now I gotta go find where Yechezkel is.
Lamed Vav. So it starts off, it says, Koyamar Hashem Elohim la'atzamos ha'ela hine ani mevi bachem ruach v'chiyisa. It clearly starts with hisarusa la'ela. It starts off with a ruach that comes from Lamala and gives the whole koach of chiyus. But the whole process of kibbutz golius and the goof being rebuilt, you only know from the Navi that there was a ruach that made it happen. You have to have some kind of spiritual sensitivity to understand that all of the aliyah to Eretz Yisrael doesn't make sense that it should happen without some kind of hisorus from the Shechina, from the Neshama Kolelos, everybody, because it's too broad It's too. It was too many different countries, too many different people,
Yeah.
right? So you have to be aware of that. But if you ask the people what was going on, they will
Give you their own explanations.
right. They'll have their own explanations, and that's what is spoken about in Pekida, just like we see by Moshe Rabbeinu's time, and just like we see by the Kosav Sitna of Achashverosh, it stops. The Hisorus.
Oh, so at what point does it stop? The Pekida is just this Eretz Lamala?
It's just the Hisorus Lamala. The Totzah is the Kibbutz Golios. The Totzah is the Binyan Haguf. But actually, as far as the people are concerned, they don't feel this incredible surge of spirituality, of Shechina Milamala. They're very much osik in the physical binyan of the kibbutz of everyone together. And as the Ramchal connects the psukim in Shir Hashirim, it's like, I think he spoke about it a few days ago, where the Doid knocks on the door, and he wakes up the beloved, he wakes up the woman, and then she comes to the door, he's gone. Right? So there's a histalkus that actually things in some ways in a spiritual sense get worse. Achashverosh, Kosav Sitna, Moshe Rabbeinu's time, the people think, okay, it's better, why'd you start off with power? Only things got worse, right? In our times, there's if you think about it, the power to be chalutznik and to take over the country, people lost their passion. People are moving to Silicon Valley. It's not the same. We don't have the same energy. Post-Zionism, right? We lost the connection to the Shekhinah, and as we spoke about, that's not by accident. There's a few reasons why that happens. One reason is because we want people to not get caught up in Ruchnius too much, because if you get caught up in Ruchnius, you lose your focus on actually creating the body, and without creating a body, you cannot have a place where the manifestation of the Shekhinah happens. That's why the same way parents, their job is be'ikr, to focus on the olam hazeh of the child, and not so much there's midos, yes, midos, but not speaking about the job of the father is to teach him basic Torah, but it's not his Rebbe. The Rebbe is machnisul l'chayil haba. The father is machnisul l'chayil hazeh, and all of its bechinos of healthiness, and you need that focus. If you don't have that focus, you can't create a healthy kli, right? There's a famous story with the Balamar. The Balamar was a genius. I think he wrote his sefer when he was 19, if I'm not mistaken. When he was like very young, maybe 6 or 7 years old, he was already talking Torah in ways that Gedolei Olam were interested in. And while he was talking to Gedolei Olam, he was riding on a toy horse. And he's going back and forth and talking in Torah. So the Gadol has, how does these two things go together? He says, you don't understand, I'm 6 years old. There has to be an expression of this, or else it'll come out when I'm 20. Right? So you can't skip.
I'd actually really like to see that story. It'd be great.
I heard it from a person named Rav Friedman, and I didn't see it inside anywhere. I heard it many years ago. But
he's the one, the Balamor, I think, who in 1333 arranged for people to come to Eretz Yisrael.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I read that and that was like the first, I think.
Really interesting.
In the Golos.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. So, if you as we spoke at many times, and we were marachaned on Thursday, there is no way for the Shekhinah to be megala in the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up the world. The same way your neshama cannot do all of his job if your body is unhealthy. If the body is dead, then the neshama can't do anything. If the body is restricted physically, totally on a physical level. We're not even talking about how everything spiritual makes physical, but there are rules of the physical world. And if you eat trash, then your body's going to be trashed. If you don't take care of it on a physical level, then the neshama can't express itself. So there has to be a focus on kalkala, on financial systems. There has to be focus on agriculture. There has to be focus on social services. There has to be focus on an army. There has to be focus on the police. All of these things have to be done with all of the rules of Olam Hazeh done well, in order for there to be Hashras HaShechina to come in. Now, we spoke about the ultimate level of like Yosef HaTzadik is the person who is able to see in all of those things a expression of the Shechina. And that's what I want to speak about today, how we can make that shift. but the first shlav that we're holding now is clear that there is a total asik in the guf, and it has become kadosh mi'al kol, right? Which is our survival, our ability to function in the world, our advancements in technology, we're now a world power. These are all accomplishments on the physical world, right?
Okay, so our accomplishments in the physical world is yes, it is ours milamala, but it's not going to be experienced as a ruach milamala. It's going to be experienced as initially, as our physical work that is seemingly disconnected, or we can choose to experience it as disconnected from the ruach that is above, and that's what defines Pekida.
Yeah.
I guess that's why, Yosef, he always credits Hashem, but not everybody else who looks at his story credits Hashem. That's why he's always so busy crediting Hashem, because no one else sees it. Otherwise, you're stuck with the problem of why is Yosef always crediting Hashem, and that doesn't seem to align with the Pekida model.
No, so Yosef is the person. He takes the Pekida and advances it. He's the way of Mashiach ben David coming. In other words, he takes all of the.
He's Mashiach ben Yosef. That's post that's the mature Pekida.
Exactly. That's where Mashiach is supposed to go. But I want to say one thing, which is that there is a histalgus of the ruach, but there is one thing that is extremely strong, which is the fact that we're one.
That we're one?
Yes, that we became one body, that we became one functional nation. In other words, the fact that Am Yisrael Chai, the fact that Am Yisrael is functioning as a unit, it's the advancements of all things we spoke about, agriculture, finances, army, are all as an Am. No one's experiencing the Yechidim over here.
That's a prerequisite.
That's what
Vayichan tachas ahor.
So you're saying that's a prerequisite of Kabbalah Satorah, and that's exactly the point I'm trying to make, is that there is a huge, even though we're not feeling necessarily the ruach of Gilui Malchus Shamayim that exists within Zechira, we are feeling a very strong unity of the fact that we function even within the Vikuchim, right? The Vikuchim disappear the second there's a tzara, right? Which means that inherently speaking, we are functioning as an Am. There is a very strong Toda'ah, and it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And of course, the Sinas HaGoyim in the world is a very big helper in that, and it's not an accident. There's a very strong connection of being Jewish, of being Israeli, of having Am Yisrael successful, and the fact that a company is responsible for making cherry tomatoes, and a company is responsible for making the discount key, and is an expression how people feel of what do we bring to the world, right? That is not an accident. That is exactly the karka in the which you can have the Shechina come. Until that exists, there is no such thing as Shechina. Shechina is always, by definition, the expression of the Am Kulo B'Yachad, right?
Is there any notion of this being a test? In other words, being aware of this shift, or even the first stage, like many Jews have no awareness of this stage, and some do, some don't. Is that talked about? That it's something we should strive for, something that we should, let other Jews know that they're failing to see what's. In other words, the process is unfolding only to some people. Most people are oblivious to it. Religious Jews are oblivious. Many religious Jews are oblivious to it.
The Belzer Rebbe went on to a clip, a video, to say that people should take seriously the azakaz and act accordingly. I have it right here. So I think this fits right into it. That's where the Vayichan, where we're coming together. All the factions are coming together. The fact that the what are those guys called down south where the thing was called?
Arad.
The Naor's concert? Naor? What was that concert called? Where the start of October 7th. It was a name for it, I forgot. Okay. Nova. So the fact that many of those people, I think the number is like 78%, are becoming frum to one degree, at least taking on one mitzvah. Mm-hmm. So the fact that there's a coalescence of Judaism, of Jewry, right, here at least in Eretz Yisrael, I don't know Chutz La'aretz, but here you see that corner coming in. You see bells saying is.
Yeah,
And
you're talking about now
Yeah, I'm
the
talking
chelik of
you're talking
mitzvahs.
about non-religious getting
Everywhere.
I'm talking about,
I'm
no,
talking
I'm
about the
talking about-
non-religious
I'm talking
coming
about the
in,
religious.
the very religious.
That wasn't the point I'm making about non-religious becoming religious. I'm talking about the point of people holding themselves as part of something greater.
Yeah.
Right,
That
okay.
I don't agree with you. I think that people are very conscious of it. I think that it depends on. I think everybody is very well aware that Am Yisrael is going to war right now and fighting as a unit, and we're doing it for the whole world, and everyone's has taken a side. They're involved. It's not there's no
No,
long.
that's not what my point was. That there's a process, that there's any process at all going on, which you have to pay attention to. There are religious Jews who are oblivious to any kind of process, and I'm wondering if that is discussed. In other words,
I
I
think
think there's a medrash that talks about Yosef being very disappointed that the brothers were starting to experience Yeush, that they didn't see that some great thing was going to come from this, and he said, "Don't you see it?" And they didn't see it, and
Right.
so. So that means that some will see it and some won't see it. So I'm
Right.
just wondering if that's been.
I think that's part of
validated.
the. I think that's part of the same way by Moshe Rabbeinu there was a tremendous Yidush going on. I think that's part of the histalkus of the moichin that exists before Zechira, and I think it adds a lot of tzimon, a lot of thirst to people when they feel this tremendous Yidush. So I think it's. I don't think it's surprising that it exists. But I still think we need to not skip the point that the main success of Pekida is the Yichud of the Am. And in that respect, especially in the last 2 years, we're actually moving very, very fast. And I think that even if you want to think about Jews in diaspora, do they identify themselves as Jews? I think there's more and more, because of everything going on in the world, they're having to make that decision. Am I part of the Jewish nation or am I separate part of the Jewish nation? And they're getting bugged the whole time by the Goyim. Don't forget, you're Jews. Right? I think that's a huge shift. And people are thinking about moving to Eretz Yisrael like they never thought about before, right? And so that means the Am is being mischazik from all its different parts. I think that's when you realize that's one of the huge shifts that you have to make, is that you can't only judge things based on Torah and mitzvos. That is not the barometer that the Navi is talking about. Torah and mitzvos is a separate stage. We're talking about Yichud Ha'am, and the Am functioning as a unit, right? Let's put it in perspective about we're learning in Pesach. So the Pesach Seder, the way that the one who wrote Baal Haggadah wrote it, the way he decided to tell the story was he jumped on the Bikurim, right? So the parshas of Bikurim is a very interesting parsha, which is a person grows, I don't know, one of the Shivas Aminim, he has his olives are nice and his dates are nice, and like, wow, that's an amazing accomplishment. And he goes to the Beis HaMikdash, and he's instructed to do Chazaras Hashir of our entire history. And he's like, let me tell you a story. You know where this date comes from? This date comes from the fact that I was once by Lavan and he tried to wipe me out. And then I was in Mitzrayim, he tried to wipe me out. And then Hashem took us out of us. And now I'm so happy with the date. Right? So it gives you a perspective of all of our successes as an Am. Hashem is teaching us to put it in perspective of your individual representation of an entire historical process that starts over there, and you're a cog in that wheel of this entire process, right? That's the whole message of V'hisha Amda Lavaseinu V'lanu. By the way, V'hisha Amda, I don't know if people don't realize this, V'hisha Amda, what's the V'hi in the words? It's going on the Bris Bein HaBesarim. In other words, we, as all of the Avram Avinu in the inception of this Am, with all of this stuff of every single generation is coming to L'chal Seinu, is part of our DNA. So we have a history. As an Am, if you look at all of the successes as the Yechidim, as part of the success of the Am, of the Hashgacha of the Am, both are painful things and both are successes, right? You totally shift out of your individual life. And when a person shifts out of the individual life, first of all, you notice v'samachta b'chol hatov that exists in Parshas Bikurim. It's a fascinating thing to look. He points this out in the Sefer. we have a generation of never had shefa gashmias for Yechidim, probably ever, I don't know, in history, right?
Yeah, thank you for voicing that. That's
Right, and yet
It's
we
true.
have growing depression every single year. Right, the statistics are bad. With all of our mental health work and all of our medicines, it's
Right.
suicide goes up and depression goes up. And what's the pesher hadavar? Right, the pesher hadavar is people don't have meaning, and the place gives you the most meaning is when you connect to something much greater than you, right? Which is what people are doing now. That's the value of when people are fighting. I was just speaking. Some woman was saying that she takes her her artistry and she decorates boxes, and so their beautiful boxes show up to the chayalim when they with their food, and they see art in the middle of a war, right? Another guy, he's a massage therapist, and he goes to bases and he massages the soldiers who are right.
His wife.
Every week, right? So how many different cogs in the wheel are around
And show
the
off.
success of Am Yisrael, which happens to be Misached right now in a tzara of fighting against a nation? That's just an expression. We actually function as an Am always, right? The very fact that people have different jobs, if you look at it in terms of an Am, right, different people have, this guy works on banking, and this guy works on social services, this guy works as a cop, and this guy works as a Rav, right? But everybody has a different job. To making one Am stronger, when you put yourself into that Toda'ah, gives you tremendous simcha. Az yimalei schok pinu. I'm not even talking about now the shefa ruchnius that comes. I'm talking about the fact that you live for something greater than yourself, and have a lot of meaning. It connects you to all of the hashgacha that's happened over 3,000-4,000 years. That's the Pekida Toda'ah. That's what's happening. Whether people participate or don't participate, whether religious or not religious, it's a fact. It's a fact that's coming more and more into the world. And you can decide how much you let it in, or you can decide how much you block it. But there's a shift that's happening in the world. And that is the ikar hachana of Pekida, because you can't have any type of malchus shamayim of zechira. Let's think about Korban Pesach, right? Korban Pesach is the Korban, which is the inception. Am Yisrael it's the place where if you don't have a Korban Pesach, you have kares. Why is that? Because it's the place where we're defined. B'ni b'chori Yisrael, right? Who are we in the world? We are the first intention of everything. Machshava, all of machshava. This is what the world is supposed to happen, and everything that comes out of that is the second, third, fourth born child, because it's a way of, after I decided that I want to be a father, now I'm also going to do this, and I'm also going to bring these out. But it's all for the tachlis of this original B'ni B'chari Yisrael, right? So we have, who are we? Well, we have a sgula. We are Am Sgula. We are the chosen nation. That has nothing to do with our individual chatoyim and individual we are doing well, we're not doing well. This is who we are. That's what the Korban Pesach is. But the Korban Pesach needs to be brought where? Yochid can't bring a Korban Pesach. It needs to be brought in the Beis Hamikdash. And how is it eaten? It has eaten b'chabura. And the entire thing, there was three different, you come into the Beis Hamikdash, three different party groups of people. Everything is togetherness. The Hallel was saying, you can hear everybody in all parts of Yerushalayim singing Hallel together, right? The idea of all of the karbonos that we have, every single one of them, not the individual ones, but the musafim, and all of them are an expression of a tzibur working together. The entire musik of Beis Hamikdash is, instead of having everybody have their shul and their personal, their place, it's a place where everyone feels it's like going home to your father and your mother for Pesach, right? It's like that's where we are as an Am. And the Avodas HaKohen Gadol is he brings everyone, a whole Am into the Kodesh HaKadoshim for Yom Kippur. All of the Avodah of Beis Hamikdash only makes sense after you establish yourself as one Am. In order for people to have that consciousness and that ability to even think about things in that way, we need to shift on a goof level, not on a neshama level, on a goof level, understanding of what are we as a nation. Then as a nation we can come and together create a Beis HaMikdash. You can't even talk about Beis HaMikdash until you're united. And so therefore it's all of the unity that you see. The question is there a spiritual energy in existing in the world? Yes. And it's a spiritual energy that, as the Mashiach ben Yosef, which means it's not only one person, it's every single person. The knowledge, the ability to see Shem Shamayim Shagara Al Piv, the knowledge to see that this Achdus is the precursor of all of the ability for us to have the Shechina come inside of us. That's the stage we're in. And so therefore, there's a tremendous chashivus, of course, in encouraging Achdus, but it's really a shift inside of yourself. And we're never, the way to shift the world is always to shift yourself. You know, like the famous story of Rav Melech, you know this Maisa? Rav Melech said when he was younger that he thought he was going to change the world.
I heard that from the Chofetz Chaim.
I don't know who said it, but it's good. Yeah,
The story's good.
I wanted to change the world. And then I gave up. The world's too hard. I'm going to change my town. Then I gave up. I'm going to change.
First he said
Poland. Okay, then I'm going to change his town. Then it's going to change my wife, right? Then I realized I'm going to change myself. That's not the chiddush of the story. The chiddush of the story is my father's Rebbe said that he didn't change his goal. He's going to change the world. He just changed how he's going to do it.
But that's an analysis, a chikira in it.
Right.
That's great.
That's the omek. If you walk around in
accomplish
your
the same.
das by understanding that you are a part of Klal Yisrael, and everything you do now, instead of just being for your own benefit, you're now doing something for the Am. That
you've done that.
That makes a huge wave in everybody, and everybody starts living like that.
You know what? That would be really empowering. Could we zone into that for a minute?
That's great. No, that was my reaction exactly when I first heard it.
Thank you. Okay, do you mind to zone in to that
Sure.
for a minute, or do you need to
Tell me what are you looking for?
that's not real to me. I don't honestly believe that. Like, I know that on a spiritual level, in terms of the structure of Klal Yisrael and the soul of Klal Yisrael, just like the body muscle that you use, you need each limb to be functioning well and independently. But it's not so real to me. And in my midas or whatever, it just feels like, you know, my work is my work. I messed up, too bad. Or I did well, and happy for me.
May I disagree with him?
Yeah.
Because to me, like, I agree with the first sentence you said, that it's very empowering, and therefore I have realized after thinking about this story a bit, thinking really, trying to internalize it, is that the moment I say one nice word to somebody, or just smile, as Rav Nachman says, just smile to somebody, and I've made that next person smile as well, and I've taken him out of his depression, because I don't know what's going on in his head. I'm sorry if I point to you. I don't know what's going on in his head, but if I've just moved him an iota, I've now created the world. Because I've saved him, and he's going to continue, and it's going to multiply. Okay, so therefore, I see that this achdus, and that's why when I see these... Yeah, but listen to this story. When I hear these guys with the Burihatu Miftah talking in English, how their life was changed by one action of chesed. And they just saved that person's life because the guy needed $10 and that was the only $10 he had, and therefore he was able to feed his kids for a day. And then he got the job and it all mushroomed, but that's all what you're saying. Because of the achdus, we're getting the shefa. Yeah, and it starts there. That's the whole thing of Kerespir.
I think it's a lot deeper than that.
That's a beginning.
No, there's no question that Biram Nachaver is at a merkaz, and you could always impact somebody else. But I'm saying something a little deeper. I'm saying that all of us have skills. All of us have value, right? Now, how do you define your value? You'll notice that the only way that you can give yourself some kind of value is that you can understand how it impacts the world. Think about it, right? So when you wake up in the morning, really whatever keeps you alive, because whatever gives you expression that I'm doing something important, if you plug into the fact that what you're really trying to do is impact everyone, or however many of everyone you can do, right? You're already plugging into a different type of life. And that's what happens when we as a tzara of an am, what happens naturally, we start thinking about what can I do for everybody. So you don't have to only have a tzara to do that. You can actually define your life and say, okay, what gifts can I give to not only my family, not only to my bank account, what can I give to my community, to my neighbors, to my friends, to my, right? Always thinking in a bigger scheme of things. And when you do that, you're connecting to power, superpower, because you're plugging into the Shekhinah, because that's where we all get our energy from. And so the more you tap into things that are relevant to that, you will by definition have more energy. The Arizal says something fascinating. He says that if you he talks about the difference between or pnimi and or makif. That a person who has chiyus, the reason why he has chiyus and his energy and is excited about things is because he's plugging into energy which is or makif. In other words, he is looking to experience things that he doesn't already have. He's trying to get things beyond himself, and that's exciting. It's like, wow, I have a new perspective, a new idea, a new world thing I'm not holding by. That builds him up, right? So if you're stuck in your own Dalet Amos, it's like how much, I already basically, it's kind of boring. I've already done this already 100 times. But if you're talking about what can I change in the world, like the sky's the limit. The world is so, and I don't mean to disagree with that story of Melech. The point is not trying to change the world and I'm making them different. It's what can I bring to, I have gifts. There's something special about why I'm in this in the world. Let's see what I can give that to other people that they will benefit from it. People are not open to you telling them how they should live, and they're wrong, and they need to be different. They are open to say, how can I help you? Everyone's like, sure, I'm open to that, right?
But this is lost on me. I'm not hearing how what you're saying is different to what Abraham was saying.
It's not only just like, it's not only do you say Shalom Aleichem, it's not only you're nice to people, that's a huge thing. But everybody wakes up in the morning with a goal. There's something you're going to do with your life, right? If your goals are only for yourself, then first of all, you're not in the Geula consciousness. Second of all, you're going to have less energy, right? And less meaning. And so what I'm saying is just plug into what can my gifts be beneficial for other people, right?
It's like this year isn't just for the three of us. This year is going out to the world to help them understand the Geula process. That's what it's for. That's, it has to take place in some physical, so here it is. But
I don't think we disagree. I just think that the Rav is taking the next step, which is what he thinks is the real purpose, which is the amkus, the depth of what I'm saying. I'm on the first level of Pekida. The Rav is taking that beyond Pekida, or well into Pekida, eventually into Zechira. I think we don't disagree, do we?
No, I don't disagree at all.
One thing I've noticed, we worked in marketing for a lot, so many people come to this point of view after some tragedy happens. Mm-hmm. Like I've met, many people that they were very wealthy and they had a kid with a certain disease, and then they realized,
couldn't help them.
Couldn't help them. I'm going to start a foundation to help people like that. So they needed, unfortunately, something tragic for them to start to look beyond themselves and say, I'm going to. And I've seen it so many times.
Oh, you're just paying me.
I think we're saying if you could actually come to that without a tragedy, just because that's what our role is. Okay, then you saved yourself a very painful lesson, and you plugged into what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Did you ever notice how you walk down the street in Eretz Yisrael and it's easy to get musar by people? Everybody's in your kishkes. Right. Everyone wants and that can be extremely annoying.
He's gonna be too cold. Oh, it's so annoying. His head,
right.
They care.
That could be super annoying, but the omic of it is Kol Yisrael Rivim Zil. Everyone feels like it doesn't exist in Chutz La'aretz. It's not the same thing. I grew up in Chutz La'aretz. It's not the same thing at all. Right? We are one Am.
Wait, that doesn't exist in America. I don't know if it doesn't exist in
No, Europe's worse.
No, I know Europe's worse, but that's not a good contrast.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I was never in the Arab nations. They definitely have a consciousness of Ummah, and they're definitely
If you're in the right same clan,
you're in the same
all
clan.
kinds of
It's
Right.
all tribal. They're so
Right.
obviously tribal.
right,
Yeah,
That if you're not in their
everything-
tribe, they'll
Right.
cut you to pieces.
right. So, but we
So that's not a good comparison.
okay.
There's no comparison to Klal Yisrael and their love for the Ummah despite all the external trappings.
Right. Now, here's another huge point: is that when you're trying to deal as an ummah, and even if you have, let's say you have a geula consciousness that other people don't have, the way to give that over is not to go fight about it. Right? You're not going to be successful in trying to convince other people of your way, because in Omek, the reason why people disagree with each other has nothing to do with this individual conversation. It has to do with all kinds of mitos that help them, the way they grew up, the way they understand the entire world, and it expresses itself in this mashu of a detail, right?
Right.
And you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win an argument. Instead, if you're in a gula consciousness and you're trying to be one, let's go figure out where we do see things the same. Where are we one? Where can we connect? And once people understand, are in a consciousness of you're not at odds with me. You're trying to work together with me. You're in a place of ava, and instead of a place of putting people down. Then, by definition, all of those preconceived notions, people are willing to drop because they get in touch with something deeper. And when they start talking about the deeper things, they're willing to redo the pratim of their life because they feel a clarity, they feel a sense of safety from you on the things that we all agree upon. Just walking down the street and two women are saying, "Ani lo dati, avani ma'amin be'Elohim," right? And then the other lady says, "Those datiyim, they're not so tzaddikim anyway," right? You can already see that she went to like this place of vikuach, like, "Oh, you're better than me, I'm better than you." Drop the whole thing. Okay, we all believe that we're getting saved by God. Okay, wonderful. Let's talk about that. Let's make and how much can grow from that consciousness in things that will again agree and go, "Oh, well, if we're getting saved by God, obviously he has a plan for us, right? So what is his plan for us?" And then we go on those type of things and the details of like, do you keep Shabbos and exactly with this thing and that? Everybody keeps Shabbos, right? Everybody has some consciousness of Shabbos. There's a creation of the world, 7 days. Why am I keeping Shabbos? Why is it different? That consciousness we agree on? Okay, so stay over there. That's the type of achdus that we can create if we stop getting stuck on the details. The more we understand how much we are unified and how much we do have similar beliefs, and even it's so hilarious. Like it's like the idea of kfira. If Cook says something very amazing, he says the same God they're kofer and so am I. In other words, kfira, even kfira itself is a process of tikkun. It's a process of eliminating machshavas psulos and emunos tfelos about hasagas Hashem in the world, that people go down, and when they really comes to shove, we all agree in the same things that are kaddish v'tar, and the details that they're disagreeing with there's a really damn good reason why they're disagreeing with it, because this thing needs tikkun on it, right? So that's a perfect example of where you can find common ground which provides achdos, and if you hold yourself on those midos, where's our common ground? Where can I connect with you? That's called love. And then the details afterwards, okay, so you disagree with me on this part, I don't care, because we're already unified. That's the achdus. So if we're trying to make shift, let's forget about shifting. If we're trying to be successful in Pekida, we're trying to use this unison to create, which we know, because we're learning Torah, we know is just a merkava for something greater than that, the Gilu Vol Malchus Shamayim, but we're in that stage. The more we're in the das of Achdus, the more we're in the das of working together as a nation and hitting the points that we all agree on, the more we are living Pekida in the most fundamental way. And of course, obviously, one leads to the other. The way we're mizare is the whole, we want ultimately to have Zechira, right? But it can't happen until the tashtit is down. And then the main shift that's going to happen is going to be in das. It's going to be in our understanding. It's going to be what we see this achdus as a Merkava for the Shechina, and then the more we see it, the more we'll invite it, and the more it'll happen. Of course, there's also Haftacha Min Hashamayim that's going to happen, but we participate. So that's what I'm saying. To be successful in Pekida is to realize how much Achdus we can actually create, and how much that is the spiritual energy for what's necessary for all the next stages.
That's really
How does,
chazak. Thank you.
How does maybe I missed this or I forgot, but so how does God has a process where also right? We talked about the psukim, and God is Pikadot, and God gets the zachar. So we've been talking now about our process. What's God's process? How is God getting from Pekida to Sechira? How come there's two words for his final, taking action? Like, how does it work from God's perspective?
The difference is that he puts in on a Pekida. All he does is it's nes nisteres. His hashgacha works through the nivroim completely. In a way, you weren't here on Thursday, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
So there's basically the way it's brought down in this forum is there two different midos that Hashem uses to relate to Am Yisrael. The difference between in Zechira and Pekida. The midah that he relates to us in Pekida is Yisod, and Yisod comes after Netzach and after Hod. Then there's a Yisod. In other words, there's already Hod is a hiding, is a way of, for example, the Vilna Gaon says one of the expressions in Midah of Hod is that where he will take a Rasha and give him incredible success in order lahavido me olam haba. Right, that's Hod. In other words, he totally, he will be moide ki'ilu mitkofef ki'ilu to the tzad hara and participate in it, but always totally there. That's an expression. So one of the expressions also is the fact that he works through Nivroim, right? So the midah of Hod, when it comes to Geula, is Yisod, which means that he reconnects to the Malchus, reconnects to us. He pulls us out of a situation of Golus, out of a Shena. It's like but he's still just as mislabish in everything that we do. So then what happens is it looks like Yosef Atzadik. It's midah of Yisod is Yosef Atzadik, and that's the Bechina of Mashiach ben Yosef. That everything that Yosef did, he was a genius in running a government. He came to a plan. He's like, well, what are we going to do? And he came up with this whole plan to save the whole world, right? Mm-hmm. And all of the things we see he did with moving people around, and giving them milah, was all very, very tactical. But everybody saw that he wasn't doing this on his own. It's like
said it.
He said it.
Yad Hashem.
Right. He used to say it all the time, and even it was so nicker that even Powell said it. Powell said, "There's no one smarter than him in the whole world." Huh? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a smart guy. Maybe there's someone smarter. No, he's coming from a different place. He's not human. He's a kli of something way above than anything we've ever experienced before, and therefore, whatever he's going to do is going to have supernatural impact. Right? That's what we see in Eretz Yisrael right now nowadays. That's the midah of Yisod, where you don't see Nisan Gluyim, right? You see an Iron Dome, you see Tzal, you see the 6 Day War. There was tanks. There was 2 tanks against 60, but there was 2 tanks. Right? It wasn't, it wasn't Kriyas Yamsuf, mm-hmm. right? But that's Hashem mislabesh within us. So his hanhaga is in order for us to become to a totally different level of strength, where we can be a kli of expression, but he's always going to be there expressing himself through us.
Is that Pekida?
That's the level of Pekida.
And then and Zechira.
Zechira is the Gilui, what's called Tiferes, which is Mashiach ben David, which is like the word Tiferes sounds like, where Hashem is a mispoyer. He's showing up in a way that everyone says Zeh Keli Vanveo. They're everyone saying Hashem Yimloch Olam Voed. There's no question that he's in charge, right? But the difference is that it's not like Kriyas Yamsuf in the fact that Hashem Yilochem Lochem Ba'atem Tacha Rishon. It was completely, we were like babies. We were just sitting there watching. Mm-hmm. We participated on the smallest level in that we jumped into the Yam. That was it. And the little bit that we needed to, but B'Yisod HaDvarim was in order to with the level of Klal Yisrael was holding on then, we just needed to have Hashem take over and do everything.
So the 10 plagues was still Pekida. In other words, it wasn't assumed that people will see these 10 wondrous things and say, Zekelu Aveu. No, they weren't, that didn't work. They were not at that level to.
Right, so
Right.
we spoke about that the
That's how you had the 4/5 who could witness 9 plagues, and yeah, big deal. Show me something else you can
it
do.
says in the Psukim in Arba Lashonos of Geula,
Right,
V'lakachti, there's Hotzeitzi, Vitzalti, V'galti, V'lakachti, right?
right.
So you would assume like Hotzeitzi, okay, you know Hashem. V'galti, that's not what the Psukim say. It says V'lakachti Yeschim Lam, Yedatem. Sorry. Thought to use this thing.
Those kids are cats.
I can't tell. Very musical.
If you can't tell, then we can't.
How do you use this thing?
Generally, the cats are vague. They're not crying at night. Considering how many there are.
You know what? I don't really appreciate that. You're right.
I appreciate it. I noticed that because
What, they don't do at night?
that they
Oh,
don't
sometimes
cry
they
as
do,
much
but-
at night.
Here you go. L'kachti eschem nilam, vayisu lechem elokim, v'yedatem, ki ani Adonai Elohechem, hamotzi eschem, mitachas sivlos Mitzrayim.
That's amazing, right? It's like, what happened the first 3 good?
Kriyas Yam Suf, you didn't know? It says in the pasuk, l'kachti eschem nilam, v'yasen Elohim, which is kipshuto, Maimed Har Sinai. When Hashem said, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Asher hotzisicha mi'aretz Mitzrayim, you took us out of Mitzrayim. Oh, really? Okay, right? It wasn't so clear. How is that even possible? You see all these nisim, because nisim doesn't mean that you made a change, right? Things happen, but there's all of the emunos tfelos, all of the years of kfira, all of the years of paro being them, mi Hashem Eshma B'Kolo is still there, and it takes a gilui like Maimed Har Sinai, where there's absolutely no question, because the entire world, it says, like it says in the Psukim, Yadati Yom HaShavos V'Haki Hashem Elokim Ein Od Milvado, that happened on Maimed Har Sinai. That even though there was a tremendous gilui on Kriyas Yamsuf, but you see that it was nostalgic clarified, because one of the chatoim that it says Asar Nisyonos is that they said the same way we left, power was going to come, right? They were still so bisfekus about what's really going on in the world, didn't see the process, the Anhagas Hashem. They saw little blips. Wow, that happened. Okay, Yam opened. Okay, let's go through. We're safe now. Wait a minute, maybe power is still alive. You don't realize he did these 10 plagues to take you out of Egypt and to free you forever. They didn't know that was going to happen. Right before
The
Kriyas
first
Yamsuf.
Jewish joke.
What?
That was the first Jewish joke.
Jewish joke?
Jewish humor started right there. Did you know that? You appreciate that?
No, I
Oh,
didn't
that's a
realize
great
that.
line. Anyways, but
So they didn't know. It
so
wasn't.
you can't blame the 4/5. They were kind of not much level lower than everybody else. They were just a little bit more confident in their way that they saw events. Right?
One thing you see from that is Nisim Gluyim don't give a person emunah.
Right, they don't move the needle.
You need to have the participation of the Nivroim, which is why the Geula Shlema happens in the way that it happens. Is that we are going through a very slow process. Hashem's intention, by the way, when was the Geula Shlema supposed to happen? After the 49 days of it wasn't with Kriyas Yamsuf, it wasn't Maimon, it wasn't Aseres Hamakos. It was the 49 days of being in the desert and getting to Matan Torah. That was Hashem's plan. Let's do this quickly, and we'll be done. And then Acharas Yamsuf, we're going to Eretz Yisrael, and the whole thing will be finished. We decided to take a different, longer period of history through the Chet HaEgel, right? But there was no intention that within the 7 days of Pesach, that Klal Yisrael should be ready to be ma'aminim, b'nei ma'aminim, to the level of merkava that they needed the rest of the Sfiras HaOmer to do that, right? And then the Pisco is Matan Torah. So, and that didn't work, right? The Hachana wasn't enough. So now the process we chose to do through the Chet HaEgel is that we're going to go through slower and build and build and build. But now the nisim gluyim that are happening, we are gonna be after an entire experience where we did a lot of stuff on our own. So now this is the chiddush that the zivug that happens from the zman of zechira is that same malchus, that same entity of Klal Yisrael, which used to be in a relationship with Hashem through Yisod, which means we used to be experiencing Him hidden within us, and always having to point out, like Yosef, Hashem Yitzliach biyadi, right? We'll be able to go up and have a relationship where we experience this same woman, this same Klal Yisrael, will experience Hashem in a different way, where He is begilui through us. It won't be that He'll just be begilui. It'll be again the same way it happens now, is that we're doing a lot of things, but the difference will only be is when we do our part, how much will He respond? Will He respond in a way that's just hidden and you can still figure it out like yes and no? Or will He respond in a way that it blows our mind because we did what we did? It'll never be anymore that it'll just Him is working on its own. It's a zivug.
After Bakida, where we've developed to a point where we're sensitive to a zechira.
Yes, but it's more than sensitive. We're active. First we're active and then we're sensitive. You need a body embodiment of Yosef to create like Malchus David. Shaul had to come before Malchus David. David was extremely active. Shlomo was extremely active. We are going to have to be just as active. But the difference will be is that when we throw this thing, the thing, Goliath gets knocked down, right? But we have to throw that stone, right? That's the chiddush that's happened. That's why we need to develop this entire system of guf, because there's no gilui of tiferes that is supposed to be the asad lavo unless it comes through the malchus of us.
Wait, so just to spell it out. So Yisod and Tiferes are qualitatively different midas.
Yes, they're different
Although
ways.
I don't yet understand how they're qualitatively different, but what I'm hearing from you sounds like I'm translating it as just Yisod is Hashem expressed on a level of 4 out of 10, where you can deny, but He's definitely still involved. And Tiferes is 8 out of 10. He's like way more involved. Like, isn't it just more and less?
No, it's not.
Like,
it's
it
not,
should be a qualitative difference, and I'm not hearing that.
No, it's not a more and less. It's that in Yisod, he only. What happens is our actions work well.
Our actions work well. Right.
We have an iron dome.
Right. Our
Okay.
actions are working wonderfully well. Thank you, Hashem.
Right? Our actions work well. So He is connected to us, but He's hidden.
Okay.
He's hidden within us. Okay? Tiferes means like things happen, you do your chelik, and then all of Edom falls. Right? You have the clearly.
Like you throw the stone and Goliath just goes. Not he's knocked down, he just dies.
Yeah, but it's not even the question of him dying. It's a question of what happens afterwards. The das that comes into the world. For example, you can, even if we win this war, right, and we destroy, that doesn't mean people are going to say Hashem Malach, Hashem Melech. It's not going to happen.
That's true.
But if we were actually clearly activating the Malchus of Shamayim, then now we do something, and then everybody can feel Hashem runs the world. He did this. That would be a totally different situation. That would be the situation which we are going to happen in Geula, which we can actually experience that through our actions, Hashem was Melech. He controlled this to happen. Trump's not running the world. Hashem's running the world. And the shift that will happen in Das Hashem, that's the point of Zechira.
Was Yosef as Yisod hidden?
What does that mean? Was Yosef?
You're describing Yisod as hiddenness.
Yes, because you didn't see open miracles. You saw dreams. You saw ideas. He's telling you Hashem was doing it, but you could have totally not seen it. For example, Paro grew up in post Yosef time, and what do you say? Mi Hashem Hashesh Mabakolo. He didn't see any spirituality, didn't see any godliness whatsoever. Lo Yadas Yosef. You can be a koifer in the process that after Yosef Tzaddik, you can still stay in the process of kfira. In the Tzman of Shlomo Melech, you could not. Every Am knew this is the Shalosh HaShechina.
That's why we accepted no gerim.
Right, because exactly the point of Ger Gurim, exactly the point.
Wow. Thank you.
So can you plug this back into Shem Pakad et Tzara? Because there's the same work. Every time we have the Pakad word, can we plug it back in and use this paradigm and say, now we understand what it had to do with Tzara? I don't know how, but.
It's the Rashi that says that people doubted, right? It's Sarah Avimelech.
Oh, that's nice.
That's good. Yeah.
That's a good shot.
Talking to your question.
Okay. Go back to the Skirot.
That's good. That's the way you gotta do it. You gotta get the concept and then apply it everywhere.
Yeah.
That's how the Rosa
That's good.
did it.
That's good. Okay, let's stop for today.
This was really, really chazak. Thank you.